Hello, everyone. So, today I wanted to actually ask you something. I basically need some help, and I'm making this video because I think some of you might be able to help me. Now, I'm thinking of, I'm considering, not decided yet, but I'm considering starting an open source project. And I do have, by the way, my GitHub repositories, which are, of course, public, but they are not really open source, like in true sense. I mean, in some of my repositories, few people, not really a lot, have contributed, and I guess that is open source. But the idea that I have and one of my friend, we are actually considering to basically make what we are trying to build open source, and we need some help. And I am sure some of you who have experience, or maybe if you can guide, point. I know there are a lot of uh, I know there are a lot of things online, and to be honest, when it comes to open source, it is not at all complicated. But if some of you who, especially someone who has contributed and maintained an open source project or projects, I would love to talk to you, or if you want to reach out to me, or if you want to maybe help me, because I need to get some clarity. Now, when it comes to open source based projects, I think bare minimum you need few things, like I think starting a repository online, like a GitHub repository, is a good starting point. But first of all, and this list is based on my what I think should be there, and of course it is very high level. I need some details. I need to, of course, break it down further and refine it. So number one, I think we need to define what this software, tool, whatever we are trying to build will do. So I think we need some goal, objective. At the same time, we need to define a name. I think name is important because it has to be a bit catchy. So name, goal, objective, and at the same time, when we are trying to build something, I think we also need to have some documentation around it, some kind of README. So if, let us say, we have the first version of our software, which is ready to, like the first version, uh, pre beta, whatever, I think someone need to, of course, try it out, and there should be some documentation. So I'm aware of it. Also, because we are trying to make it open source, there is no, it's not really about the source code, right? That use it and do whatever you want to do with it. We also want people to contribute, and I'm sure some of you will hopefully contribute, or anyone who is uh, interested in building that tool software with us. And I know when it comes to contribution, we also need to write some. Apart from finding contributors, we need to write down some, I guess, some guidelines around how to contribute, and that is of course very important. Like guidelines for contribution, and especially when you're working with others, you need to also write down somewhere some code of conduct, like how to have a discussion. I think these things are not really always obvious, and I think if you go to Free Software Foundation website, I guess they have written some of it. But I think when you're doing it for your own software, you need to, of course, write it down, or maybe you can point it to those places. And I don't know about those guidelines, right? So that is why I'm making this video. And because this would be a software that we're trying to build, so I guess we also need to write down somewhere some coding guidelines, I guess. And uh, apart from coding guidelines, I'm also trying to figure out, let us say we have built something like version 1, and we also have like few people who are contributing. How do we market? I think that is something very important. Is there like a market? I mean, shall we just announce it somewhere on Reddit or Y Combinator, or I don't know, Stack Overflow? Of course, apart from the usual social media platforms, because I've never really maintained an open source project, and especially from scratch, I have no idea. So I would like to know, is there a place where we can announce it like formally? And when it comes to, I think there are few things which are probably not that difficult, like strategy for version control, right? Because these things are quite standard in the industry. So I think that would be fine. And if you're trying to build something which is a software, then we also need to figure out or think about DevOps testing strategy, right? Like the moment we commit, I mean, if you're writing a piece of code, then we also need to have some test cases around it. And of course, we don't really want to do it manually. And to be honest, that is not really my domain. I mean, I know how to do these things in Jira, but test-driven development is something that not my area, not my domain. And also, when it comes to, I think, contribution and software development with other people, we of course need a place where we can work together, right? And I guess, or work together means that plan something, and also at the same time bug tracking, issue tracking. I don't really want to use Jira for this. I guess we should probably focus on open source tools. Maybe we can just stay within GitHub, because GitHub has issues. So basically, if I have to summarize, I need help, because if I'm able to figure out these things, maybe, is there something like an open source consultant? I don't know. Or maybe if you can point me to the right direction. Of course, I'm doing some research online, but I thought I'll probably just make a video. And I'm sure some of you, I guess majority of people who watch my videos, they are involved with open source. Either they're using it or they're doing something with it. Because I know most of you watch my videos for org mode, Emacs, or Linux, for example. And that is, of course, the theme of my channel. But because I want to now start my own open source project, or I'm thinking, I've not made, it's not final yet, but most likely I want to, I will, and I need to do it properly. And I know even if you start wrong, you can always fix things, but I want to do things, I want to try not to make too many mistakes in the beginning. That is what I'm trying to say. And there should be some guide, I believe, online. I did some research, of course. I know about those sites where you can look at the licenses, and not my area. I don't know much about how open source licensing works. I know I'm aware of it, but I don't know the details, and that is why I thought I'll probably just ask you. So yeah, that is it. I'm going to maybe formally announce it sometime in near future, once I have decided that yes, we are ready. But yeah, I thought I'll probably just make a video and let you know, and also ask you for help. All right, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new, hopefully. All right, that is it. Bye bye.